Can we now go by this sequence? Ashu, Janani, Subramanyan, you are here. Please. iMOBILE lab.
Janani from Agastya International Foundation, and I'd like to talk about the iMOBILE program today. Agastya has had several years of experience running hands-on science programs for rural children, and we were interested in whether we could do a program where we could build both science literacy and digital literacy simultaneously. Cognition experts here would know that literacy needs to be built simultaneously, they reinforce each other. So our program is unique in the sense that it combines hands-on science, student-teacher interactions, and the critical digital literacy component. When we started doing this program, we realized that schools did have computer labs, but may lack science teachers, or they may lack computer teachers, or they may lack electricity, or they may lack a relevant curriculum. You really needed all of these components to come together to build a fully relevant and effective program. So Agastya has been using a shared resource model where we take all the equipment and a power backup and a UPS and a generator in a single mobile lab and go periodically to multiple schools. So we follow a cyclic rotation model. One of the things with that is we only need one trained computer instructor, and that person can be deployed to multiple schools at the same time. About the curriculum itself, we've done it in a way that is integrated into the science curriculum. A lot of times in school, the science classes are separate and the computer classes are separate. Children don't necessarily see the link between the two. So we build them together. Every hands-on science activity is followed by a simple computer tutorial. We don't go into the history of Charles Babbage and mainframe or vacuum. These are important, but sort of they're beside the point of digital literacy. So we get right into them using the computer. So even a simple class, for the first time they're learning how to use a computer, we open the Paint, the Paint software, and if they did a lesson on say light, on let's say shadows, we say that hey, you always draw your hills and your suns, and the sun setting between the hills, and then there's a house. Now that you know about shadows, where do you think the shadow will fall? So then using Paint, they draw this diagram which has the shadow. They've also learned how to use mouse. They've done a drawing. It's immediately effective for the teacher because the teacher can see whether this lesson has really gotten into the child's mind. And even with a simple mouse-based activity, you can do a lot. And then we do this stepwise. We do about 14 to 15 activities like this per year. And by the end, they're all learning how to use the internet, how to retrieve information. One of the things we all know, which also came up in the inaugural session this morning, is the lack of the language internet. So what we do is we encourage them to use ruthless use of Google Translate. Every little website they go to, they're copying it, they're putting into Google Translate, and they're sort of converting it, reading it in their local language. We find that this is far more relevant because the entire English internet opens up for them, not just the few websites that are there in their local language. The other thing we do is before teaching them Google search, we actually use Google Images. Because with Google Images, they just have to type one or two keywords. They're all aware of SMS language these days, so nouns is not a problem for them. So they learn search through Google Images, and once they're familiar with the concept of a website or a page or going back and forth, then they're ready to do Google Internet. And throughout the time, we encourage them to use English characters, but use their local language. So if it is ours, they'll say AAJ. If it is Yahan, they'll say YAHAN. So we really do not want them to feel that their lack of English knowledge is what is limiting them from using the computer. I must say that we've, sorry, I think I jumped a lot of stuff. We've done this in Coimbatore and Noida. This year we're introducing it in Bangalore. We're going to go to, hopefully we're going to go to 8 more locations by the beginning of the next academic year. We've already imparted digital literacy to over 844 children. We run these mini computer science fairs where The children then teach the remaining children of their school everything that they have learned. The interesting thing that we found is teachers start trickling into the class and sitting alongside the students. Normally they're very hesitant with new computers, new technologies. So then they start coming into the class and sitting alongside the students. So we found that it's a great way to motivate the teacher. And in that manner, everything that we use is your regular computer that's available in your local internet cafe. It's not a fancy new device because we're only there once in 2 weeks. We want to give them the opportunity to use what is already available. So we've used our standard MS Office, standard computers, easily available internet applications like Google, so that if they want to, they can continue to practice even in our absence. And we found that very effective because they see the relevance almost immediately. And in fact, the school Gayatri is here. She runs the Tamil Nadu State program in one of her schools. Students have taken to helping the teacher with data entry. They're helping their 11th and 12th standard students with science projects because these guys know how to research the internet. So I think the uniqueness of it is really that it's contextualized to their science curriculum, that it is easily usable by English naive children, and it really is very cost effective because we use it really common. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Janani. Before I go to the audience, we have a real conservative teacher in our expert group here, Yudo. Yeah, so you have any comments or any questions for the
It's a great initiative in India. In Indonesia, we don't have such kind of like this, but we do have a mobile internet cafe, which is actually traveling around most all districts in Indonesia, but we haven't got any kind of this. Just a quick question to you, because you are actually approaching students, specifically children, etc. How do you maintain that the content that they access are actually a safe content? It's not a negative content.
Yeah, it is. That is a bit of a. There's a couple of. I think I forget the name of the software. There's a software where we can input the names of websites. So we have identified a couple of websites. There's something called a Simple English Wikipedia, which is really very interesting. It explains Wikipedia topics in very simple English. There's another website called Curiosity.com. So we've already identified a couple of English websites that are relevant to children, and you can input these websites on the platform, and it will not allow the child to go to any other website. So there are, that obviously is a very important concern when you're introducing children to it.
Gunjan, you have any comments? Okay, quick question. Yeah, you go.
Just want to check on the conversation. One is, are you using this much Academy also? And part of the second, when you mentioned about Google Images, for example, now how do you keep these safety parameters when you are encouraging the children to use Google Images? Because then it's an open website.
Yes. Well, Google comes with its own safety. This one it's got some strict parental controls, so we insist that we are always using strict parental
So
control.
you
We
manage
turn
those
on.
controls?
Yes. Our instructor uses the parental control. We also don't allow them to. It is free in the sense that we like them to do what we want, but we already have worksheets for them. So, like I said, it's integrated to the science curriculum. So we have worksheets based on the science lessons that we do. Khan Academy, we don't use videos. So the science that we teach is based on hands-on models and experiments.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. So we don't use Khan Academy. It's any information that they want, they can then sort of go and find out.
Okay, one more question. If there is no question, now we must thank and congratulate Janani. Put your hands together, please.